Please welcome on stage Mr. Bhaskar Indrakanti.
The world will only make sense if you force it to. नमस्कार देवी और सज्जनों, कैसे हैं आप सभी? झूठे। ये एक ऐसा प्रश्न है जिसका अगर हम सही से उत्तर देने की कोशिश करें ना तो बहुत जद्दोजहद होगी. The reason is very simple, because the true answer to this question requires a lot of self-awareness and an astute knowledge of the world and the times we are living in. But I'm so sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's rewind the clock of human evolution a little bit. 6 million years ago, we finally parted ways from our ape ancestors. And 3 million years ago, we tried to start walking in our 2 feet, stumbling here and there, just trying nonetheless. 2.4 million years ago, finally, we started using stone tools. And nearly 1.8, 2 million years ago, we finally stood tall on our 2 feet. But, ये Homo erectus दिख रहा है आपको? It was here, around 200,000 years ago, that changed everything. Everything. The world as we know now, in today's day and age, changed completely 200,000 years ago, and it was due to the discovery of fire by Homo erectus. What happened? आग लगी तो क्या हुआ? What happened was, we finally learned to cook our food. And since we knew how to cook our food, खाना पकाना आ गया, उसकी वजह से खाने की nutritional value बढ़ी, and because of that, our brains developed and grew. और जब दिमाग बढ़ा ना, तो उसी के साथ साथ जीवन की भसड़ भी बढ़ने लग गई. Now, because of the discovery of fire, we understood how to cook food. Because of the discovery of fire, we understood that we can protect ourselves against the wild. And because of the discovery of fire, we were able to keep ourselves warm in the scathing winters. Everything seems fine and dandy. But something else happened. As soon as we discovered fire, we realized that our brains are not just a tool of survival. We can actually have multiple purposes. And that is when, roughly 12,000 years ago, we discovered agriculture. And because of agriculture, we slowly and steadily settled into societies. एक दूसरे से बात करना हमने शुरू कर दिया, societies में रहना शुरू कर दिया हमने. So villages became cities, cities became kingdoms, and kingdoms became empires. And because of this, we understood that we can now finally explore the world and share knowledge, which is very important when we talk about civilization. And the concept of civilization, जो human civilization बोलते हैं अपन, it began around this time. Then, 500 years ago, we discovered science and technology. और उसके बाद से ना, जो हमारी human civilization की गाड़ी है, बहुत तेजी से चल रही है. क्या हुआ? With the inventions, with the introduction of science and technology, that was followed by industrial revolution, which was then followed by the age of information technology, which we are still living in. I would like to ask a question. I know it's a TED event and there are rules in place, but we will break the rules. I'm going to ask you a question. Can anyone guess? इतनी सारी लंबी human civilization की कहानी सुनाई मैंने अभी तक. What was the turning point when everything changed? Please, sir. ये तो मैंने बोला ही नहीं. मेरी कहानी में से कौन सा सिंपल आंसर? कॉग्निटिव तो बहुत आगे आएगा. फायर? डू यू एग्री? टेल मी. Communication. Because of fire. So you both are in agreement. So it came all afterwards. But as far as my point of view is concerned, it was fire that led to all of this. And you know what? Inventions are absolutely brilliant, and because of fire, our brains grew. But tell me one thing. In the age of science and technology, when our brains are doing so much, and our brains are the reason why we are sitting here in an AC room with all these spotlights and this wonderful microphone and sound system, you are able to listen to me and whatnot. There is a dark side to it as well. There is an underbelly to all this progress. And that is what I'm going to talk about today. So anyway, coming back to the thing. Now, roughly in mid-20s, the first generation computers came into being. And afterwards, in the year 1983, internet was introduced to the world. And by 1995, it came to India. Around roughly 28 years ago, I'm 32 years of age. So, 28 साल हो चुके हैं इंटरनेट को आए हुए. And our brains haven't evolved in a long time. But the exchange of information, the overload of information, and our need to gain more of information, know a lot, is still there. But our brains haven't evolved in a long time. What happened was, slowly and steadily, because of this revolution in the sharing of information, our brains were not capable of it. And agreed or disagreed, these changing times are taking a toll on our physical as well as mental health. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you know the word overthinking? I'm sure many of you do overthink. Do you know the word anxiety, stress, depression? These are the words we usually use in our daily life nowadays. But very few of us actually understand the true meaning of it, the medical, psychological meaning of these words. And you know why? Because the world we are living in is an overwhelming place. बहुत परेशान करता है ये दुनिया, क्योंकि बहुत सारा है कंज्यूम करने के लिए. What do we do? But एक और चीज है ना, because of all this progress, we are better off than our ancestors. है कि नहीं? Stone Age से लेके आज तक we are better off than our ancestors with all the technological advancement and everything. But if that is the case, then why, according to WHO, depression is the leading cause of disability across the world? Suicide is the fourth leading cause of death, especially in the age group of 15 to 29 years of age across the world. And why? India is being counted amongst one of the most depressed countries in the world. Because we are already doing a lot better than our ancestors, are we not? But anyway, why? According to NCRB report, National Crime Records Bureau's report, why a student in India is committing suicide in every 45 minutes? Why? We are better off. Why? As per World Happiness Index, we have been ranked 126th out of 137 countries who took part in this survey. Now I understand most of you would agree or disagree with this, but it's all about perception. And the world is having this perception that we are not happy. Because happiness, my dear friends, is not an individual concept, it's a community concept. अकेले अकेले कोई खुश नहीं हो सकता, दांत होना जरूरी है खुश. Why is that state of our being? अगर हम लोग अपने ancestors से बेहतर हैं, तो why is the state of our being such? जहाँ पे depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, suicides are taking lives of innocents. Because we lack one thing. We lack the understanding of the world we are living in. And the answer to all these problems is one skill, the skill of empathy. And what is empathy? Empathy is when we can understand and respect the unique needs and perspectives of the people around us. But unlike sympathy, empathy is a skill. Now, I would like to give a demonstration. Can all of you see this piece of paper? Imagine this piece of paper like a person. This is a newborn baby. Nothing has happened to him yet. And this is life happening to it. Crazy life. Life that tortures us, that makes us suffer. Sometimes we are happy also. So we smoothen out the suffering that we have gone through. And now you see a piece of crumpled paper. Now, it will take a lot of effort and a lot of inventions to revert it back to its original shape and size. पानी में डुबा के प्रेस करोगे तब भी नहीं होगा. Now, this is a person. What empathy sounds like? अरे रे 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 रे, बड़ी चोट लगी है, दुख रहा होगा. कोई बात नहीं, हो जाएगा, सब ठीक हो जाएगा. Be positive. as if actually someone has turned their mindset after someone told them to be positive. But empathy looks something like this. I see you have suffered a lot. I can see the suffering and the hurt on you. Would you like to share your feelings and thoughts with me if you find it comfortable? This, my dear friends, is the difference between empathy and sympathy. Empathy usually validates the victim status for a person, whereas, sympathy usually validates an individual's victim status. But whereas empathy, it tries to empower it, it tries to give it a new pressure perspective. And remember, sympathy is not a skill. Empathy is. Why I am trying to weigh on this? Because it's the skill that we need to learn. But why? Because there have been a lot of studies across the globe, and one of those studies is right in front of you. According to McKinsey, there are 54 new skills that need to be achieved in the future to come, and these are known as the future skills. And out of the 54 skills, empathy has been declared one of the most important skills. Now, someone spoke about cognitive development. It's absolutely important and correct. And you know why? Because in this day and age of AI, जहाँ पे हम सबको डर लगता है, we are replaceable. First we were replaceable by a person. Now we are going to be replaceable by a machine as well. And to prove that, there have been many layoffs in the major companies across the globe. So I don't need to prove that. What makes you different from a machine is your ability to understand emotions. And towards that, the first step, my dear friends, is empathy. These stats have been indicated upon by World Economic Forum and by OECD as well, Organizations for Economic Cooperation and Development. तो ये सिर्फ एक चीज, एक मैकेंजी की रिपोर्ट ने नहीं कहा, ये और दो ग्लोबल रिपोर्ट्स ने भी यही कहा है कि empathy is going to be one of the most important skills of the future. The reason is very simple. In the future, jobs are going to demand you to work with people, and people need understanding. And sympathy is not the way to understand them. Sympathy is pity, and no one likes to be pitied with. But empathy, now that's what we need. And it is very important, ladies and gentlemen, that I tell you something. For the past 6 odd months, my team and I have been organizing empathy circles in our city of Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. So what I'm talking to you about is a walk that I've already walked. And in these safe spaces, we have realized one thing. What? That strangers are coming together and finding it very easy to share their thoughts and experiences and their feelings with each other without the fear of judgment, without the fear of being given unsolicited advice. क्योंकि किसी को भी फोकट की एडवाइस पसंद नहीं है. आई एम श्योर आपको भी नहीं है, पर देने वाले बहुत हैं. That is also an issue. We have to understand one thing, ladies and gentlemen, that empathy takes a lot of effort. If we understand the true gravity of what empathy as a skill is, then we have to understand these few things. Number one, empathy is about listening actively to a person. किसी को सुनिए सुनने के लिए, बोलने के लिए नहीं. कई बार हम लोग सुन रहे होते हैं कि तू कब बोलेगा, तू होगा तो मैं बोलना शुरू करता हूँ. That is one. Don't do that. Number two, empathy is about replacing judgment and biases with observations, just like we did with that piece of paper. Number three, empathy is about listening to the speaker and not telling your own story. कभी कभी हमारे उसको दुख लेके आता है, हाँ मेरे साथ भी ऐसा हुआ था और अपनी कहानी सुनाने लगता है. That's not empathy. So it is very important, ladies and gentlemen, that we create a safe space. Why? Because there is no such thing as utopia. And suffering is equally a part of our lives as much as happiness. And it cannot be replaced by anything. Now, I would like to conclude my narrative by saying, we live in a world that is changing at a rapid pace. And our minds and our brains, they are two different things, are not equipped to match that pace as of now. And it is very important कि हम लोग empathy को as a skill की तरह सीखें, because ये एक skill है जिसको machine replace नहीं कर पाएगी, at least for the foreseeable future. At least for the foreseeable future, because everything is replaceable, my dear friend. Now, The crux of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, is that it is very important that we take the controls of our minds and our futures back in our hands so that we can make this world worth living in. Because that is all we can do. And in the next 100 years to come, if we master the skill of empathy, then not only our psychology, but also our physiology, our biology is going to change because empathy can do that. Our brains can actually do that and change our bodies if we put it to work. How? If we are empathetic individuals, we will be able to prevent in the future to come transgenerational traumas. And believe me or not, everyone is traumatized in their own special way, and that makes you stronger. And empathy is a tool that will, work as a catalyst to make sure that you remain stronger. My dear friends, thank you so much for listening to me.